I don't want to spend too long introducing this panel, but I think one of the things that separates the Venice Festival of Media from other conferences around the world is that we've managed to get the CEOs of all the global media agencies together. What a wonderful opportunity for discussion. There are many questions that came out of yesterday. In order to kick off the panel, before I hand over to our moderators, there is one question that we'd like to ask of you to get our keypads going. Can we have the first question, please? I thought this would be a nice scene setter for our panel. What is the greatest threat to continued growth in the media and advertising market at the moment? Could you please pick what you see as the biggest threat? And I think this would be a very interesting way of giving some context to the debate about to follow. Please vote, ladies and gentlemen. Sital Banerjee yesterday talked about the problems with talent, and I'm sure that that will be one of the subjects on this panel. I am delighted to welcome Mr. Michael Kassan, former CEO of Initiative Media and a consultant to many people here in this room and one of the best connected men in the global media industry. He will introduce his fellow moderator, Mr. John Partilla, and the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, the hot seat sessions. Please welcome them. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie, and good morning. Charlie had to apologize for his hoarse voice. I have to apologize for speaking so loudly because that extra Bellini is weighing on me. But with that said, I'd like to welcome you to the hot seat panel, or as it was called a few moments ago by Laura Desmond, the Big Swinging Dicks plus Maria. So I just want to clarify the title of our panel. Let's talk about power. The power to move markets, the power to set strategies, to sit at the right hand of some of the world's largest marketers. How do you get that power? What do you have to do to keep it? Let's talk about money. Approximately $190 billion in billings, to be exact. Where and how do you spend that, and who are you prepared to fight to keep it? These are the hot-button questions in our business today, and we're going to put 8 of the most powerful media executives in the world on the hot seat this morning to try and find some answers. That impressive dollar figure I just cited is what RECMA estimated the top 10 media agency brands bill worldwide, and that was just through 2006. The real number, of course, is much higher, even without adding in the billings from all the media agency brands and holding company portfolios that did not crack the top 10. I can't believe we're still talking about bundling versus unbundling in 2008. But the truth is, we're still locked in a global power struggle with all sorts of communications competitors for control over those hundreds of billions of dollars in billings. I think it was 2 years ago in Cannes, that other festival, when I called it a holy war. Creative agencies still compete against everyone here for strategic planning, for internet assignments, for product integration, and in many other areas. Consolidation continues to cast a large and looming shadow over the industry. Media shops continue to tinker with the idea that they should provide creative services, albeit in limited and strictly defined ways. And even as we fight to hold on to the gains media has made in the past decade or so, the tides of change, technological and otherwise, still threaten to capsize even the best-laid business plans. In every market, in every category, this power struggle plays out every day. Who leads? Who follows? Who wins? We're fortunate this morning to have, as I said, 8 of the leading media players on the field. Our panel discussion this morning is going to be broken up into 4 15-minute sections, and we're going to begin with a section discussing that topic of bundling and unbundling and strategy and planning. The first 2 panelists to join are Mike Cooper, the CEO of PhD, and Jack Klues, the chairman of Publicis Groupe Media. And as well, my co-moderator, John Partilla. John Partilla is a very dear friend and one of the real leading thinkers in our industry. John spent the first portion of his career, I think about 18 years, at Y&R, and while there created a standalone unit known as the Brand Buzz at Y&R. And several years ago, John left to become the president of Time Warner Global Media. And really one of the one of the vanguards in the industry, understanding how to navigate a large corporation and add value in every step of that process to the advertisers he deals with. So let me join John and Mike and Jack and kick off our first 15-minute segment. Thank you. In 2000, and many of you will remember this, a letter signed by some of the biggest names in American advertising, including John Dooner from McCann and Shelley Lazarus from Ogilvy, they sent a letter to Unilever, who was at the time reviewing its media. The letter pleaded with the client to keep strategic media planning with the creative shops and not to award it to an unbundled media entity. The client, thankfully, ignored that plea, which was repeated ad nauseum in some way, shape, or form by many of the other creative shops. This issue won't seem to die. The first question I'd like to ask the two of you is, what do we have to do, or should we do, to end this discussion around bundling and unbundling once and for all? Jack?
Well, first of all, maybe this can be the... Pardon me? Am I too close to you? I think the first thing we can do in this conference is, it'd be great if I could leave this conference and never hear the word bundling or unbundling or rebundling again. I think that debate should be passed. It's aggravating only because if it comes up now, it comes up as a defense or an explanation for where people sit or some other mechanism for client control, if you will. Or it's about who manages or who accounts for the P&L. And all three of those reasons are just god-awful stupid. We really need to move to another place. A really smart Frenchman just about a week ago made a statement that in a speech to the IAA that said that solutions for the future won't fit into containers of the past. And I think that's exactly right. And while I don't know if anyone on our panel have exactly the right answer, maybe that is the answer. I think it's about open architecture, liquid structures, mashups, whatever it takes to provide clients with the kind of ideas that I saw yesterday afternoon and more so. And so hopefully we can put it behind us and we can continue to move forward with structures that may not look like anything or be branded as anything we know today.
Jack, can I just ask a follow-up question to that before we turn to Mike? You recently announced inside Publicis what I characterize as a pretty startling restructure with one of the venerable brands of the industry, Leo Burnett, bringing Digitas and the Starcom working units together in a new model, if you will. Could you comment on that a bit in terms of how that addresses this issue?
Well, I think what I hope it does is that it starts to bring to our clients a solution that takes the very best of our new partner in Digitas and brings a tremendous amount of digital competence and expertise to bear in conjunction with the Starcom MediaVest Group and its expertise in media connections and activation, together with Leo Burnett creativity. The hope and expectation is that we're going to take the best of those enterprises, break the silos down, and then build different custom solutions. And that's really what's happened. We've got structures that are, forgive the term who leads what, but we've got structures like on Nintendo that are led by a media person, a Starcom MediaVest executive. We've got other structures like in Kellogg that are led by, I guess someone would see, the traditional senior account executive. So it's really a matter of what fits the client need best, what are the resources that we need to bring to bear, and we behave accordingly. And in both those instances, interestingly enough, there is one P&L.
Mike, speaking of that, with structures that fit particular clients, in your experience in PhD, do you have any case studies or any particular clients that you could point to, maybe by name, maybe by not by name, hopefully you could, that illustrate a circumstance where the client has said, we believe planning and buying should reside at our media agency as opposed to the separations?
Well, the debate to me is really one about integration. And I'm old enough to remember, or to have worked in a full-service advertising agency as well as working in a media specialist. And, I'd have to say that, just physical location doesn't ensure integration, quite honestly. You can work in a full-service media agency and be a media department within an advertising agency and not feel that you are integrated into things. And I've been in that situation in the past. So, to me, I think clients have a right to expect full integration, and I really think it's something that we have to work hard at, and we all do, and I think that's what gets good results for clients. In terms of case studies, I think it's hard to think of cases where you really do get good work without having integration, and I think some of the things that we've done recently. I think the Trust anti-smoking work in the USA, which was a collaboration between Crispin Porter and PhD, is a great example of that. They did some fantastic work over there. The Make Poverty History work, which took place in the UK, which generated over £2 million worth of free space, and they blocked off media with the Click campaign that you'll remember from Make Poverty History. Those are all, some of the work you'll see from Nike and Adidas, some of the cutting-edge advertisers. They're all examples of integration. To get great work, I don't think you can do that without integration.
I'll just build off that. I think that all our businesses are getting increasingly specialized, and requiring increasingly specialized talent. As you two look to advance your structures and advance your organizations around client P&Ls, how do you ensure that with all the varying specialists, that people are still sort of sharing a common language and able to communicate and understand how to progress together towards the common priorities?
I think one of the key issues affecting that is talent, quite honestly. One of the biggest challenges that all of us face today is getting great talent. And I think we all have to broaden where we look for really strong talent. And we have to look outside of just media agencies. We have to look to media owners. We have to look to client side. We have to get better at recruiting. And an awful lot of really strong media people have crossed over to the client side and some to the media owner side in the last few years. And I think we need to start trying to work to reverse that trend, quite honestly.
I would only add, I think that I'm seeing all these talent questions popping up on the screen in front of you, John. I think I think the trick is for us to continue to cross-train all of our people. Yeah. We do need, the industry needs specialists, but specialists want to grow in their own right. So I think that, the programs we can put together as agencies as it relates to cross-training is a part of that, beyond recruiting.